arrested and stuff. And then I was at such a bad state when I was 19. I was smoking weed, drinking alcohol every day. And then I found out that my father was dying, right? From the 10th of May to 11th of June, made 14.7k British pounds. And I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, so that's like 20k USD, innit? Yeah. There was a period where I was living with my daughter and I was living with my baby mom, and I was doing the business, right? And, you know, like screams at night, bad sleep, and I don't know, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't really scale the business. There was too much going on.
That's called like the law of exposure, because once you be exposed to those type of things, you can never see the world the same.
Yeah,
because your perception has changed. The fear of inaction and not actually building the business you want. The most painful thing you can have in life is regret.
Yeah.
And like for me, when I was an estate agent, I was like, well, if I leave and this doesn't work, I'm back to square one anyway. So nothing kind of really changes. If anyone has that mentality and you have the drive that you do, like, it's not if you'll be successful, it's when you'll be successful. And it's just changing that narrative in your mind. Today we're joined by Max, who's flown over from the UK. He came to an event we had here in Dubai. We were filming this at my house in the Palm. I think this is the first podcast we've actually done here. So firstly, welcome Max. Initial experience?
It feels like I'm living in a movie. You know, I was on a drive-through and then the guy was turning back. I was like, whoa, is this real? I'm about to enter this guy's house. Like, so yeah, crazy, man.
So the first thing I said to you is I have a huge amount of respect for you for a couple of different reasons. You first came to us and I think your business was doing like 5-6k a month, and you've doubled to where now? So
I must send you my statements. From the 10th of May to 11th of June, made 14.7k British pounds. And I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, so that's like 20k USD, innit? Yeah. So basically doubled income in a month.
Now, why I also said I have a lot of respect for you is that we first spoke a few months ago and you're like, I haven't got the money right now, I'll put a deposit down. Yeah. And I was like, we hear that a lot. And then like, and then come the end of the month, you're like, I'm in, I'm like, I'll do it. And then like, so like, and then you just execute ever since and you kind of made it happen. I think one of the things I'm a huge advocate of is that we don't live in a world of lack of resources. Like every house on the street is like $10 million plus. Yeah. But we live in a world of lack of resourcefulness. Like, have you always had that kind of mindset?
100%. Like one of those reasons why like I made that deposit is because I've been on so many sales calls myself. I know how that feeling is. Oh, I don't want to buy right now. So I knew I was always going to join 7-figure scaling system. I was in a mentorship before and I've been watching you for a while, right? So yeah.
How did you first hear about us or me?
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube
really?
Videos, yeah. That's how
Any specific video? We've got Mike behind the camera here for feedback as well.
So I think the video was where you had there was four top coaches. Yeah. All of them was making over 100k a month. The Leah girl.
Yeah. Leah Morris.
When she spoke about everything, like how she works like 15 hours and she's making like 300k a month and she gets her nails done and shit. She's just chilling. That's the life, right? And that's what like being a business owner is about. You know what I'm saying? Just that freedom, systems running without you, basically. Yeah.
And I think you mentioned that systems running without you, but what happens to most people I see is the systems run them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like you can probably see from like your initial experience working with us, like a lot of it's kind of just building the right stuff and then things kind of fall in place, right?
Yeah. So like literally as we speak right now, one of my coaches is on a call, you know, so it just feels mad. Yeah.
That's like leverage though. That's kind of like the big thing you want, because where most people, and like I said, because I'm British and so that most people who are British have this very like fear-minded mindset. They have to do everything themselves and like maybe even kind of God syndrome type of thing of like, I'm better than everyone else, I need to do everything. And I think the reality is that's what actually stops people being successful. Whereas if you suddenly realize, well, like if I can just get someone else to do it like 80% as good as me, then it frees you up to go and do like higher value stuff, which is kind of the game.
Like working in the business, like, you know, like systems, more course videos, stuff like that. Yeah.
Where you were before, so you're doing like 5-6k a month. What do you think was the big change, say like the first few weeks, it's taken you from like that to where you are now?
Do you know what I think is? I just think you really got to want it. Like, you can't rest at all. Like every second that like I'm on my phone, let's say I'm working, then I quickly check social media, just scrolling, like it hurts me. You know, like you have to work 100-hour weeks. You have to really want this. Results is a big thing as well. I see like loads of coaches, they want to scale up, but they don't really have client results. Yeah. And that's all I've cared about from the start, like just being one of the best coaches in the UK. And just getting people in elite condition. I do it naturally. So yeah, just results and just working hours, 100-hour weeks, every Saturdays, all of that. Yeah.
See, that's why, I said like you from the beginning, because but people either have it or they don't. And where I get frustrated with people, and you might be watching and listening to this right now, and this could well be you, and this is kind of a fucking wake up call, is like, you can give someone the map, you can give someone the Ferrari, you can give them someone all the fucking petrol to like get to where they need to go, but they don't press start.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you need to fucking do the thing.
It's literally just the same like a client, right? Like coaching.
Yeah, and you see the same thing in fitness, where you give people like nutrition programs, training programs, you give them everything, you give them all the support to do it. It's like, dude, I can't lift the weights for you and I can't eat the food for you. Like, you kind of have to do some of this yourself.
Yeah, you can only take them so far. That's the type of people you have to attract, high quality people, right? Yeah.
And you mentioned attracting high quality people. You've obviously been in Dubai recently, and obviously been around a lot of like other clients kind of crushing it. How do you think that's kind of affected your mindset and kind of outlook?
Yeah. So I must have spoke to Charlie. I was like, oh, I need a videographer. And you sent me, what was his name again?
Joe?
No, the other one. Was it Joe?
I can't remember.
So I must have hopped on a call with videographer, and we was talking about recording reels. And I was telling him, okay, so I record 3 reels a week. He was like, dude, why do you only record 3 reels? Like, do you not like money? And then he was telling me how, like, your clients, they batch up like 10 videos within 2 hours. And I was like, flipping out, this is how they post every day, 3 times a day. So I started doing that like 2-3 weeks ago. So I think it was Wednesday, I recorded like 7 reels in like 2 hours. And I'm just going to do that every week from now on, post every day.
See, this is where, for me, it's like, that's a prime example of you don't know what you don't know, right?
You don't know, yeah.
And this is where like people see kind of like the result, but they don't see the process it takes to get that. And that's essentially like, the job is trying to systematize everything and try and make it as streamlined as possible, so that it's time efficient for you. It's like one of the most stupid things people could do, and I see people do this all the time. They film the reel or the video they want to post that day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's really time inefficient, because like, one of the things that's annoying with filming, for example, is like activation energy. So it's like the time to set up the lighting, the camera, and like messing around. Like Mike's been putting up this stuff all day long. Like it takes a lot of work to kind of do that. So if you're going to do one video, it doesn't make sense. You might as well do like a lot, if that makes sense. And
then of course, like revise the scripts. One thing I don't know why, if I have a script or if I get a script from ChatGPT, sometimes I struggle. It has to be me.
Yeah.
Like I'll get ideas, and then I'll write the rules from that. But if I have a whole script, because it's different language, I can't do it,
So one of the best pieces of advice I'd give you for that, and then for anyone listening as well, is sometimes just use the hook. So like, I'm naturally, like once you filmed a lot of videos, there's only a certain amount of things you can kind of say. So if I have a hook, I can just go from that and just kind of rip from it. Yeah. And a lot of times it's better because it's kind of more natural and it kind of flows more.
100%.
With where you are kind of joining us, what do you think was the thing that gave you kind of the fastest like ROI and gave you the biggest impact?
So posting like every single day, studying is ads, that's the main thing. Yeah. So I never used to like spend money on ads. I remember you said something about 10% of your income should be spent on ads. So when I made that 6K, when I first joined, spent 600 on Instagram ads, got loads of followers. Those followers actually paying clients now. Yeah. So that's another big thing. What else I would say? Just studying. So I watched through like most of the course, school videos, went into expert secrets, all of that stuff. Yeah. And
I think what was important there is you also studied and you got information, but then the most important thing is you actually applied and executed.
Yeah.
Because like we live in a world, there's no lack of information, there's a lack of people actually implementing the information.
Yeah.
If that kind of makes sense. And you probably see that a lot with like other coaches, for example.
100%. I think I got someone to you, Kevin.
Okay.
Who's in my old mentorship. Told him about you guys. I didn't do the referral thing, but he definitely signed up. Yeah.
The big thing as well with that, like in terms of where people, you don't know what you don't know, is people often kind of get lost in the weeds as well, because I don't know if you found at some points with like your business, you can get overwhelming and kind of anxious, but like it's kind of normal, because that's when you're kind of stepping outside your comfort zone, because you're trying to do something new that you haven't done before, and that's why it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So like if you're going to try and film 10 reels in an hour and you've never done it before, you're like, it might feel difficult. Or like filming with a videographer might feel uncomfortable.
It's true.
And like if anyone looks at one of my fitness channel, the first YouTube videos, they're shockingly bad. How bad So it's like a lot of reps, and you kind of get used to it, and you realize that like you're not going to die because you spoke on camera. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So I used to do like YouTube before this, right? So I know how like content works, being consistent. So when I was like 15, I was in school posting YouTube videos, but like funny stuff, like pranks on girls. Oh, do you want to do this right now? Yeah, I used to go viral though. And then by the time I got to 17, I kind of fell out of it. Got into like with the bad crowds, got arrested and stuff. And then I was at such a bad state when I was 19. I was smoking weed, drinking alcohol every day. And then I found out that my father was dying, right? And then I also was going to have a daughter. And then that's what...
At the same time?
Yeah, so that's what, like, within the same periods. And that's what really hit me. I had to change, you know? And speaking to my friends, he was a boxer. He got me into the gym. First day in the gym changed my life forever. And then from then, I've been consistent, been doing the coaching and everything. So...
What first brought you into like the online space? And the second thing I'd say is your daughter and your dad would be very proud of you now.
I've come out, appreciate it. I hope they are. So with the online, I think, okay, so you're living on a palm right now. I used to look up to so much people like this, guys like Iman Gardzi. When I was so I'm 21 right now. When I was 19, I used to watch like all of the self-improvement TikTok YouTubers, Luke Belmar, like I say, Iman Ghazi, Hamza, and they all used to talk about like online courses, right? And I was like, okay, maybe I can start if I'm doing this. I was in the middle of doing a fitness transformation, like on a self-improvement journey. And I was like, maybe if I become sell a course. It never started with what I do now. It started with courses. So I feel like maybe if I start a course and then just start selling like the course for like £100 each, maybe I can get to 10K a month like that. And that's how it started basically. Yeah.
Would you say, so one thing I think is that a lot of people try to force themselves to be entrepreneurial when they're not. And a saying I think is relevant is like entrepreneurs are either like born or they're built. Yeah. Which one do you think you are? So
I would say, I think I was, I think I was born it. I mean, when I was young, I always used to be like the leader, if you know what I mean. Like when it came to playing in the playground, everyone would come to me, what game are we doing today? If they had to do this, do that in a classroom, or we're going to do that. So I feel like I was always like the main guy in the group. In terms of being successful with like business and stuff, I always wanted to do it, but I didn't know how. I never went to sixth form or uni. I just about passed English, GCSEs. Maths I failed, right? So yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that, my GCSEs were pretty poor. My A-levels were pretty poor because I just played Call of Duty for like 2 years. Yeah. And I think this is the reality of that traditional education is kind of setting people up for failure, in my opinion, because it's set up to kind of test you for memory retention. Whereas like, you don't need memory retention. You need the actual ability to think. And also the only thing that school can, which doesn't even teach you this, is how to learn. Because learning is thinking, is like looking at situation, kind of analysing, okay, how can I improve this, what could change? And that's kind of like the game of business. It's kind of, like I said to you beforehand, like what's the main thing I focus on is like a strategy of where are things going and try and like predict what's going to work and why. Yeah. Whereas most people are very reactive and they kind of let the world push them around rather than push the world around, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah, no, it's about skills, you know, like I studied sales for ages. I think when I hopped to my first sales call, I would say the pitch within 1 minute. Yeah. So I'd be like, thank you for booking in. We do this, we do that. Would you want to sign up? And then that's how it would go. Like, I don't know. I actually closed one deal like that though. And the guy who I closed like that, he recently signed up again this month. Okay. Yeah. I think that's an example though that, again, that the biggest tax anyone's paying right now is ignorance tax. Yeah. Like, if I like hammer high, if I knew what I knew now in 2019, like it's like hindsight's 2020 is like insane, but that's why I'm obsessed with like kind of learn and implement things very quickly, because if something doesn't work, at least you know it didn't work and you learned, whereas most people are so afraid of trying something and it doesn't work. Yeah, because I remember you said, because you was doing a coaching, like what I'm doing now, and then you made this mentorship program and you managed to hit like 7 figures
fast because you had the knowledge.
Well, yeah. So my first fitness business, which we worked with over 17,000 clients on. I was actually like shocked when I looked on this and Stripe of how many customers we had. So we had 17,000 clients on that. I think we still have about 300 or something like that at the moment. And essentially it took me maybe I probably started that 2018. I left my full-time job 25th of February 2019. And I probably started making like 7 figures, maybe mid of 2020, something like that. So it took me maybe 2-3 years. The second business took me 3 months.
So I was going to ask you, so your main strategy when you was doing the coaching was it an 8-week shred?
That was what I was taught at the beginning, but it was a complete opposite of what I would do and what I would do now.
Okay.
So the reason I initially built my business by selling cheap 8-week programs that were like £100 a go.
Yeah.
And I scaled that up, and actually me and Mike, we went to like Houston in Texas, we went to like Dublin in Ireland, we went to all kinds of places, like somewhere in Scotland, Carlisle, that's in Scotland, I don't know.
Yeah.
We went to Glasgow, went to all these places, giving people like prize money and stuff like that, and kind of like building reputation, meeting people. And one thing I've always been huge on is like proof of promises. Like people would call it bullshit, but I'm like, dude, like there's videos of me going to Texas, like in Surrey in the UK,
with meeting one of your clients,
like how can this be fake at this point?
Yeah.
So that was in like 2019, and then I had one client who came through. His name was Jared. He paid me £100, then he paid me £9,000 to work with me for a year. Was coached by me for 3 years, paid me like 30 grand.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, maybe this isn't the best business strategy. Maybe you should just focus on charging more and get less clients. Yeah,
because I feel like, one of the reasons I did have hit like 12K last month or 40.7K is like the 8-week shred challenge. So one thing I resurfaced. So if you have a big client base, like loads of people you've coached before, just hit them up again. They probably will sign back up. That's the first thing. And then something I've been doing this month is every single call I've ever been on, I've messaged them the same thing, 8-week shreds. And then I just closed someone last night from it. And I messaged them the same day and it closed. Yeah.
The big thing with that, I think is wild, is in terms of like what happens with those 8-week programs is you get a lot of client results, which are really, really powerful if you then kind of like push out. So I think that's a huge thing I'd really kind of like suggest people do, but you can't do that all the time. Like this kind of work start summer, start of the year, and maybe like end of the kind of summer can work really well.
I think right now it's just because some people are coming to the end of the 8 weeks. It's just about bringing them on the full coaching program now. Yeah,
you've got to upsell them into like one-to-one and like, okay, how are you gonna? So like statistics are great for this. Is like, did you know that 92% of people who lose weight regain the weight and more in the first 3 years?
Yeah.
So like, if you start throwing facts and numbers at people, it's then wild. And actually, I think I dropped this in the group the other day, but I looked up the statistics for a man who's 35 to have abs and earn over $1 million a year. There's between 1,000 to 3,000 men on the entire planet in the Western world who are like that. So like the likelihood of a man in the US being a millionaire or having abs, they're 25 times more likely to be a millionaire than have abs. So like people think there's a lack of people with money to spend. It's not. You've got a massive market of people who are out of shape, who've got money to burn, that you kind of need to market to.
100%, man. Charles, I was going to ask you, you have got like a caffeine drink?
Mike, do you want to grab one out there?
For adding more energy.
That's right. A quick interjection of the podcast. If you're an online coach who's looking to scale the business, get their first 5K month, 10K month, or even get to 50 to 100K a month, we have helped hundreds of trainers do this at this point, and I've personally generated over $14 million online in the fitness industry. We have a proven methodology that works, provided you're willing to do the work. Now, if you want to book in a free business audit, we'll break down exactly where you are now, where you want to go, and what's currently holding you back. Hit the link below this video and below the podcast to find out exactly how we can help you. Pick a time and we will walk you through the process of where your business is at and what exponential growth looks like. Now, back to the podcast. In terms of your mindset, in terms of investing in yourself, a lot of people are kind of really afraid to do that. What do you think allowed you to kind of make that mental switch? Because for me, that was the biggest thing that changed my life. And I realized like, if someone just who knows what they're doing tells me what to do and I pay them, I get the end result really, really quickly rather than like stressing for 3 years trying to figure this out.
There was a quote by Warren Buffett. He said, if the biggest investment anyone can make is on themselves, right? You don't know what you don't know. Me paying you I'm basically buying years of knowledge, and then it's just making me. I can just do stuff faster, and I can scale faster. Paying someone like I'm always gonna have a mentor. Like you see how you have Alex Emozi. There's always just thank you so much, mate. There's always someone you can just like learn from, right?
Yeah.
There's always someone that's better than you, and yeah.
And that's also the game. The game never ends in terms of like people learning. And the thing I also see is a lot of coaches get very arrogant that they think they make 10K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month. They know everything. It's like, okay, cool. You might know it now. Like you might know it all now.
Yeah.
The world is changing very, very fast. Like faster than ever beforehand. Like Mike just showed me a video of his partner having their room service delivered by a robot in Singapore. So it's like I've never seen that before. So like the world is changing rapidly. And you either going to like keep up with that and stay ahead, or you're going to kind of get left behind.
Do you know one thing? I feel like, so before I joined you, I was trying to hit 10K.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I hit 10K, like basically with the old mentors, I would have been so happy, and then I probably would have chilled. But me joining 7-figure scaling system and seeing all these other coaches hit like 100K a month, I hit 10K and I'm like, okay, you know what's next? Like I don't feel satisfied at all. Maybe I did celebrate like a little bit, but you know.
But it's good because what that allows you to do is, so what most people do is they then take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
And then the business drops down. But what you told me you did when you first got here is you've gone harder because it's also exciting. And when you have momentum and you have like the wind in your sails, it's like you kind of need to lean into that more because it's hard to get momentum and get things going. And when it's going, it's like a steam train. Like it just kind of carries itself.
Once you get a win, you just keep winning, right? It's a stack.
With that confidence and momentum kind of like feedback loop. With you and your business, was there ever a moment that you thought it wasn't going to work or you were concerned in that respect, just generally in the last few years?
Yeah, so I have a daughter, and there was a period where I was living with my daughter and I was living with my baby mom, and I was doing the business, right? And you know, like screams at night, bad sleep, and I don't know, I just couldn't do it. You know, I didn't find, I couldn't really scale the business. There was too much going on. I did so much work then though. Like I didn't manage to hit like my first 1K month from that, but I had to make the sacrifice and just be like, you know what, you gotta go home. Let me focus on this business. Because I was about to go work in a gym and take the easy route, work for someone else. But then I was doing this business as well. So I wanted to scale the business. I had to tell my baby mom to go home. Let me actually do this. See, she was mad at that, but now she's happy. You know.
But this is, I think, it's controversial. But you have to be selfish to be selfless. So like you put yourself first, become the greatest version of you.
Yeah.
Then allows you to then level everyone else up and pull everyone else up around you, which is what most people don't understand, and most people don't actually think kind of like long term. They think, okay, like today, here and now, like what am I doing at 2:00 this afternoon, rather than like, okay, with what I do right now and today, how can this help me maybe in 3 years time, 5 years time? And like the compound effects of like you coming here to this podcast that opens your eyes to see what's possible, people living on the palm and all this type of stuff, right? It's like I can see it in your face there. So it's like that's called like the law of exposure, because once you be exposed to those type of things, you can never see the world the same, because your perception has changed. And that's one of my favorite things to do, is to help people like alter their perception of what is possible. Because when I first started fitness coaching, I remember I spoke at an event for OT, like another fitness mentorship a couple of years ago. I think it was 2021. I was doing maybe like 130, 150K a month my fitness business then. When I said that on stage, people like fell off their chairs and had like an aneurysm, because they were like, I just thought it was normal because I didn't know anything different. Because they're like, my other friends in the industry were doing like $1 million a month. So I was like, okay, well, I'm still like not at their level. Yeah. And I think this is where you will pull yourself up to people who like you hang around with, or they will pull you down almost.
100%. It's like joining a 7-figure scaling system, being with guys who are making 100K a month. But I was going to ask you, so what would you say the steps? So let's say I'm on 14.7K, or anyone watching this right now who's on like the 10K a month or even below. What's the actions they need to take to hit 100K a month? Okay,
so I'd say this is a really good conversation. So there's a couple of key points where I see people get stuck. Now, a lot of people get stuck around like either 5K, kind of 10 to 14K, then probably like 30 to 40K, and then probably 40 to 70. And then once you get over 100, it's kind of easier, you tend to see bigger leaps, but more swings in your business. Now, what I would say from there, if you're at like 8 to 12K a month and that kind of revenue, you need to focus on simple, like book sales calls, close sales calls, don't reinvent the wheel, try and get as much traffic as you can, get really good at sales, get good client results, rinse and repeat. When you then, and also make sure you've got a good setting team who can handle the call bookings. So like, you kind of want to build that system. I know we talked about that. We'll talk about that probably a bit later on this afternoon.
Yeah.
When you get to maybe like 30K a month, people then start hiring, like, you should hire coaches before then, but they start to kind of actually have more of a business and an actual team. And a lot of people kind of have a bit of a mental breakdown trying to like manage this thing at this point. Cause like, okay, how do I run operations for 6 people? Like, how does they report to me? Like, how do I pay them? Like, what does this look like? They hire bad people. And this is where, having made a lot of these mistakes, it's very easy to be like, yeah, don't do that, do this. Like, it saves a lot of pain. The next level I say is people get stuck is like 40 to 60K a month. So they start scaling up more. They have too many sales calls they can't take. And this is where a lot of people get stuck because they can't take they're burning themselves out doing sales calls. If I was going to give you an example, I remember in 2020, I was taking maybe 25, 30 sales calls a week.
Yeah.
And I was at the point where someone booked a sales call and I was like, oh, fuck my actual life. I was like, don't want to take another call. And I was like, that's not a good position to be thinking, like, I don't want to sign up customers. So I then actually set up another business which they then took all the sales calls for me.
Can I ask though, was you doing, when you first started though, was you doing more than 30 sales calls a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because I've been on like flipping like hundreds.
Dude, I have taken thousands of sales calls.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the most important thing where you learn something is by doing it.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people also get stuck is say they get to like 30K a month, they just try and hire someone to run their ads rather than learn. It's like, dude, like you can hire people, that's great, but also anyone who's really good at running Facebook ads is not going to do it for £1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like, or you're not spending enough to kind of make it worthwhile. So you learn, and human beings learn from like either mirroring, so it's like seeing someone who's kind of done the thing, learn from them, and actually doing it. And that's why that window, like 40 to 60K, is probably a big one where people get stuck from the sales perspective, and then they need to build a sales team. And then you get two problems where they either hire a closer who's they don't know how to hire a closer, they don't know how to train a closer, they don't know how to manage a sales team. They then give the entire revenue of their business to someone who's completely new and wonder why their revenue drops off a cliff. It's kind of a different game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to talk. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say about like, because your coaches right now, they're like £60 per coach. They pay for the client, something like that.
Yeah, I'd recommend between 40 to 60. You pay the coach per client.
Okay, and you wouldn't do 50% or anything like that.
That's absolutely insane. That's absolutely insane.
Because that's what I have right now, basically. But the coach, he's also a closer.
If he's going to take some sales calls, so like, if you think about this, if you have a business and you give someone 50% of the revenue and fulfillment, yet you have to do the marketing, you have to get the leads, you have to like, they're getting a better end of the deal than you are. So, and the hardest thing is actually generating the leads and getting the traffic and set up the infrastructure. It's not necessarily client fulfillment. So generally, and what you want to focus on is not revenue, but it's also profit. Yeah. So if you can get a lean business, which has a very good profit margin, that's then like a freedom business that gives you kind of cash flow. The big thing that I am very passionate about helping people to achieve is like kind of financial freedom. So you're 21, right? Yeah. So if you say you get your business to 30K a month and you can put 15K a month into investments a year, that's £180,000 a year. You could buy, in 5 years' time, you can have 3-4 apartments, maybe owned outright in Dubai, makes you 15 grand a month passively. You then actually don't have to work in 5 years' time, technically.
Yeah, I think I was something I was going to ask you today, because let's say the coaches you scale to 100K, do they do anything with their money? Like,
yes, the big thing I encourage people to do, there'll be two things. One is actually keep some money available. So a lot of people kind of shit their pants because they don't keep any cash around, and they think like business will always go up and down a bit, and the bigger your business, the more it will like kind of ebb and flow. So that'd be the first thing, is like you have to have like some like liquidity available. I personally keep quite a lot in crypto, because if I needed tons of money for whatever reason, I don't know, like touch wood, I had like a legal issue or something, then I can like pull that straight away, whereas I can't sell a house very fast. Yeah. But I would recommend people to invest into real estate, in my opinion, because one, it cash flows, like will pay you every month. And then two, it will appreciate in value over a period of time. Because there's a lot of people who have like a high net worth, like on paper, but they feel broke because they don't have cash flow. Whereas if you have something that's constantly paying you, like they've got money to live off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So you say crypto and real estate, yeah?
Crypto, I would probably say is a very stressful experience with someone who has a lot of it. So I've been buying that for a period of time and just been kind of like accumulating it. I would generally not recommend anyone to do that. If you want to buy two things, if you want to buy one thing that's safe, just buy Bitcoin, just buy it, put like £1,000 a month into it. Like in 5 years' time, I can guarantee it'll be worth double what it is now. And then maybe sell that into kind of real estate. But for me, like no matter what happens with AI, like people will always need somewhere to live. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I think I saw a podcast with you, like a crypto girl. Yeah, I watched that one.
Yeah, so that's like an example. But also, what you want to look at is the way I look from the type of business everyone has. Listen to this. You want to have like cash flow that comes out that you can then put into other assets that then accumulate. So then you have other income. And then what I do, I put some into high risk assets like crypto, and then when I make a profit from that, I'll pull all that and then I'll chuck it into real estate that's then safe, and then I can't fuck that up and then like on a whim buy 50 grand of something that's crap and then losing my money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
But one thing I would say, I wouldn't worry about investments. I'll give you an example. I remember a client of ours, I won't say who it was, but he recently did over 100K a month and has done consistently since. He's like, well, I've got all this money in the bank now. I was like, what should I do with it? I was like, don't invest any money into don't put any money into any other like investments or property until you've got like 200 grand cash in your account. And then like the month afterwards, his Facebook ad account got disabled.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of his business was ads. He's now kind of sorted it. But like the reason why I say that to people is like, you need to kind of have some money there. But the only thing you should really focus on at the beginning is investing in yourself and your skills, because nothing will return better on you than the skills you have.
Yeah.
So like I've spent $400,000 plus on like learning from people, and that's not even just like traveling stuff, that's just like actual coaching. But then the ROI on that is massive, and also no matter what happens other than death, like no one can take that away from you.
Those skills,
like you always have that skills and that experience.
Yeah.
Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've seen some of obviously I've studied a lot of people who made 100K in your mentorship, and I see they've done a property thing. So
it's my background was originally property when I used to be a estate agent, a proper job, and I don't have one now. But the big thing with that is it's a one-way ticket. Like provided you don't buy in, I don't know, I wouldn't buy a property in Israel or Iran at the moment, but like I might get blown up. But like the reality is if you buy it in like Dubai or in a good area, then it's going to continue to go up, because the statistics are that in Dubai, they're looking to double the population in 5 to 10 years time. So if there's twice as many people living here, what happens to the property prices?
Shoot up.
Go up.
Yeah.
So same thing that happened with when COVID happened. So this is actually an interesting story. The first apartment I bought in Dubai Marina, at the time I kind of was like, shit, that's a lot of money. Like kind of cleaned me out. And
how much was that? The one with the river view?
Yeah, so it's one in the Marina, and that one, I think it was on a payment plan, but I think I had to put down like 200K or something in one go at the start.
Wow.
And I was like, in cash is a lot of money at the time. And then at the time I was like, well, like this is big. And then that was probably the best financial investment I ever made, because the property market doubled.
Wait, so you own that property?
Yeah, outright.
Oh, wow.
So
then,
that
makes sense, yeah.
But then this is why the money works for these types of businesses. So if you have an online coaching business, it will appreciate over time. Sorry, the property will appreciate over 2-3 years. So if you buy a property that's off plan, then essentially maybe put down some money now and you pay like chunks over a period of time, but you know your business is going to continue to generate cash that you can put in.
Yeah.
But it's almost like borrowing money without borrowing the money. So I had to put down like a big chunk at the beginning, and they paid it off over like 2-3 years, and then it's now rented, and then someone then pays me. So that's kind of like the game of where everyone wants to get to, and that's kind of my big mission, is to help people kind of connect the dots rather than buying like flashy shit. Like I have some flashy shit now, but I bought all of those things after I bought the safer things. And then I also would be very honest that once you have the fucking supercar, if you want, like not really that far. Like it's sick, but like the the novelty kind of wears off after a period of time.
Yeah, I heard you say like you just drive it 1 or 2 times and then okay, I need another one, or you just.
Well, you do it like I've got Ferrari and I've got Range Rover, but then a lot of the time I sometimes take the Range Rover because it's more comfortable.
Yeah.
And if there's traffic, it's annoying sitting in the Ferrari because it's uncomfortable.
Oh, I was going to say something. I actually can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, there was another thing. Oh yeah, so like, in terms of, let's just say like productivity. What would you say the best?
Okay.
Would you say the best way to just like get ahead of the game? You know.
So the most important thing most people struggle with is actually I've reframed that. If you look at 3 things in any person's life, you can see exactly where they'll end up. So first one is controversial, most people won't think of. If you look at someone's YouTube watch history, because you can see what they're actively trying to learn. Number 2 would be look at their calendar, like how do they spend their time. Thirdly is like their bank account, where do they spend their money? Okay. And like I've actually really kind of knuckled down recently and really understood that success is a game of subtraction rather than addition. So like I want to get into boxing, I want to play golf, I was like, dude, like you can't do everything. Yeah. You can have everything you want in life, but you can't have it all at the same time necessarily. Yeah. So like you have to kind of focus. So for me, I'd say most people need to be focused on doing really well at one thing and having one business, not like multiple. And I've had multiple times and it's a pain in the ass. And the reality is that I think if people have focus and then they set themselves up for success by actually like planning what they need to do tomorrow, like exactly when they first get up, like these 2-3 things are the big things that can move the needle. Yeah. What do I need to do for this week? What do I need to do for this month? Reviewing, analyzing, constantly learning. Like there's a lot of things I teach with AI now about how to like review stuff as well. And that's kind of like the game. And that's where most people, it's like the blind kind of leading the blind, because someone like, obviously I speak to a lot of fitness coaches. I know a lot of fitness coaches who have great engagement and really big followings, make no money, no money. And you might know some as well. And people will then copy their stuff and then their business doesn't work. It's like, dude, yeah, because that doesn't work. Yeah. And it depends what you're trying to optimize for. And the big thing that people should optimize for is like impact and income, which ultimately comes down to giving people a lot of value and really trying to help. But you can only actually do that if you sit down and actually plan what you're going to do rather than being like kind of reactive. Like, oh, tomorrow I'm just going to kind of see how I feel and do what I want. Do you know what I mean? There was something I put in my calendar from learning about your one. It's plan tomorrow today. Oh. So I actually haven't done this yet. I don't know. I need to start this. I'm going to start this tomorrow. If I was to give the most simple piece of advice that will make someone more money, if at the end of today you write down what is the 1 to 2 things you need to get done tomorrow, that the biggest priority that'll move the needle in your business or in your life, it will change the game for you. That is literally how simple and easy it is to win. That, and the second thing I'd say is just being really consistent. Yeah. Like you're very consistent and I can tell that, which is why you've done well. I'm like, that's the only thing I've just done for a long period of time is just keep going, just being consistent. Whereas you see a lot of people like now we're filming this in the summer, they kind of mess around for 3 months. Yeah. And then in September, their business is in a bad way. I'm like, well, dude, like kind of what did you expect? Other people like Max kind of doing the thing and then you're pissing around. So it's kind of like, you're kind of paying the cost now, right?
Literally. I see you guys drinking and everything.
Oh yeah, I see people like Marbella, like beach clubs. I'm like, it's kind of why you're in the position you're in, right? So I think that's kind of where people go wrong. If, for example, anyone listening to this was in a position of doing 3 to 6K a month or just starting out, what would your personal advice be to them in terms of like from your own experience of what you've done over the last year or 2? Yeah.
So I say number 1 thing is results. You know, people come to me, they want to work because of my transformations that I get. Like I signed someone up yesterday. He was just like, I was like, what made you want to sign up? And he was just like, bro, your transformations, you know, I don't like, you can build a relationship with someone. Some people might stay because they love like you, like how you act and stuff. But if you're getting results, it's a business, right? You need to have transformations. So that's the first thing. Even if you have to coach someone for free, just to get them in elite condition, do that, advertise it. And then once you stack that first win, once your clients see you can do it, the next client will just start getting results. What's the question again?
What would you do? What would your advice be to someone who's making like 3 to 6K a month from your experience?
Other thing would be, I'll say, maybe start investing in ads, just spending like 10% of your income. So £300 on some boosted posts, that would definitely help. and sending out as much DMs as you can. So volume, 100 messages a day, have a setter, be in the DMs all day, book as much calls as you can. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say something controversial here because I just get fed up with bullshit that I see. I see some people tell fitness coaches, particularly at the beginning, that they shouldn't be messaging people. What's your opinion on that?
How are they meant to sign clients?
Like literally gun to the head. I'm like, particularly if you're starting in the beginning, people are probably not going to come to you that much. You can be the greatest marketer in the world, but if you haven't got a track record, a reputation, or experience, it's going to be a little bit more difficult.
100%. And like that, that's what I was saying at the start. Like a lot of fitness coaches, they like that. I see guys who have like know stuff. It's just about results. They need to everyone needs to have amazing results, right, to build a business. Yeah.
So I'd even reframe the question: why did you come to us?
Because you guys get results. Literally, like, it's the main thing.
But when that's also like the way you want to kind of position yourself in the marketplace is, it's kind of a crude term, but it's came to my head. It's like the apex predator. You want to be like the top dog, because if you get the top dog in your little niche, you make 80% of the money. So like from my perspective, like I've done the thing at the highest level, like bigger than anyone else in the fitness business in Europe. And then I've also helped other people do the exact same thing, like over and over and over again. And you want to basically build your business to, it's like, it's irrefutable that if I work with Charlie, I work with Max, that I'm going to get the fucking result that I want. Yeah. That's kind of the game.
That's how it feels.
Do you know what I mean? So but that certainty and conviction will come across. And like, you can feel that when I speak to you of like, there's no, well, I'm not sure what to do. It's like, do this, do this, do this. Yeah. And like even the event we had the other day at the locker gym, like I had no plan for that, but I can just talk all day long about what anyone wants to ask because I understand the thing inside out, 3 ways backwards, because I've kind of done it all. Yeah. How did you find that event?
So I actually found that really good. One thing I learned is like the CAC. So I've been applying that. I've got to do it at the end of this month. Though. Yeah. And then ROAS. Yeah. Just like learning from others. Like I met a few people there. Got good connections now. Let's say we want to shoot some stuff. So networking, very big thing. And just learning about, you went over a lot, systems, setters. So I think you told me to, instead of getting my setter on commission, get him on a payroll. Is that correct?
Have some type of base, so like they actually have to turn up for some type of set hours, because otherwise what happens is they kind of turn up as and when they feel, which then also if you're not paying them a base, it's kind of difficult to kind of commit them to something.
Yeah, so I haven't implemented that, but I might have to start doing that as well.
With where you're at now, I think your business can explode really, really quickly. And obviously we're going to film a video later on after this. We're going to break down exactly kind of what you need to kind of get there. What would you say is your goal for 2025, at the end of 2025?
End of 2025, my goal was to hit like 20K a month. Yeah. But I think right now I want to go for like 25, 30K a month. End of 2025. I turned 22 in August. So even before my birthday, if I'm 21 and I hit 20K a month, that's it,
And that's where like the strongest thing you have to understand, it compounds through time. So I'm 14 years older than you, 13 years soon. It's so that's a lot. Like,
that's mad.
Do you know what I mean? So like you don't know what you don't know. And I wouldn't say you use the word envy, but like when I was 22, there wasn't like any of this kind of stuff around. Yeah. And I was really desperately looking for my way out of what I was doing. And I was fortunate to kind of come into this like slightly later on. But like if you have the opportunity like you do now, or anyone listening to this and you are younger, dude, by the time you're 35, like you can be in a wonderful position.
Stay in.
Yeah.
Stay in. 100%. Think about how it's going to be for our kids, how easy if it's like this now,
100%. What would be your advice to anyone who's kind of sitting on the fence about maybe reaching out to us for help and like in that kind of position?
I'd say just go for it. You speak to them first. Speak to Charlie and his team first. See how much it is if you're not ready to invest. Save up that money. Do it. You have different mentorships, so you have like the lower tier. So let's say you put them through the lower tier and then they work their way up. He's done it so many times. Why can't it work for you? It's just fears in a way.
It's people's limiting beliefs, and I think the fear people need to kind of think about is that essentially it's not like what it will cost, it's what it will cause and what happens if you don't do it. Yeah. Because the fear of inaction and not actually building the business you want, the most painful thing you can have in life is regret. Yeah. And like for me, when I was an estate agent, I was like, well, if I leave and this doesn't work, I'm back to square one anyway. So nothing kind of really changes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people need to kind of have more of that mentality, if that makes sense.
No, it's true. Just go all in, man. You have to want this.
Full send. Yeah. And it's not easy, but it is simple. It's kind of way for it. And like, as long as you're willing to kind of do the work, then you get the results like you are. And then you can provide for like your family and then actually like kind of build a real future, which is insane.
Yeah. Like I said, I never went to uni. I wish my dad was alive because I was doing a YouTube, right? And I remember he said to me like, man, maybe you should have just went to uni, you know, and that hurt. And then right before he died, like I remember him laying on the sofa. This was like 2 weeks before he died. And I was like to him, Dad, you know what? I'm going to do this, you know. I showed him the brand and everything. I'm like, I'm going to try and become like a multi-millionaire. And he was like, go for it, son, you know. And then ever since, just been all in.
Yeah. And then that's, I've got goosebumps from that. That's why you will be successful, because you have that. It's not like you're dipping a toe in. You're like run through it full fucking speed. And that's, if anyone has that mentality and you have the drive that you do, like, it's not if you'll be successful, it's when you'll be successful. And it's just changing that narrative in your mind.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Charlie.
For anyone who took some value from this podcast, make sure you smash the like and subscribe. And if you are a coach who's looking to scale your online coaching business, hit the link below this video. We give you all the information pretty much for free on terms of YouTube, but information isn't what gets you results. It's actually implementation and execution. So you hit the link below this video, you can find out exactly how you can work with us, and we'll do a free business audit for you. And we'll see you next video very, very soon.